Good morning, everybody. That was a long intro there. I timed that incorrectly, but that's okay. Welcome back. I don't know why I'm saying welcome back. I feel like I've been gone for a bit because we had a big game bash this weekend at in Fort Myers, and it was great. And we're gonna do it again in April because it was great. Got a lot of games played, had a lot of fun, and if you live anywhere in Florida, you should come. So that was fun, and we're a week away from leaving for Dice Tower West. So lots of stuff going on. And so that was a good weekend. Had a good time. We're going to be talking about a lot of games we played. We'll be playing games later today, and we'll play it live. I have a lengthy list of things to do here, although I think I can check off. What did I do? I did that. Yes. Also, live Q&A. Done, sort of. Still many more things to do. But this is a Q&A here on the Dice Tower that I do bi-weekly. If you have questions about Dice Tower or different things, here's your chance to ask them, and we will get going here. Did I play anything good? I did. I also played things that were bad. I played kind of a mix between things. Reed says, was finally able to get my hands on Veil of Eternity. It's great, but could do with an expansion to double the number of cards. I don't disagree. I think more cards would be fantastic. What's the most embarrassing thing to ever happen to you in a live stream or convention? Well, that is easy. That would be the convention where we allowed Alan Moon to do jokes. And, yeah. How do you think the game industry has changed in the last 10 years? What has gotten better and what has gotten worse? James, I do not have time to answer this question because this could easily take hours, right? Because this would be such a deep dive. The biggest change over the past 10 years is obviously the prevalence of Kickstarter, the rise of the high-paying consumer, where consumers are willing to drop thousands of dollars on a single game or table. I still remember when Geek Chic first came on the scene, and it was like, wow, it'd be nice to have a really good, high-functioning table like that, but who can afford it? And now there are so many companies out there and so many people doing this. But there's a whole lot of other things, for better, for worse. Maybe I'll do a series on that at some point. We'll see. What is my favorite component upgrade for Ark Nova? I don't know. I have a lot of good component upgrades for it. Yeah. Well, for my favorite one is just the little animals I bought and put in. They're so unnecessary that you don't need them at all. But it's just neat to put the little animals out as you get those animals into your zoo. Are there any plans to bring Sam in for an in-studio event? Possibly, but that is pretty expensive to fly him all the way across the country for that. I'm not saying it won't happen, but you'll see him we'll do some stuff at Dice Tower West. You'll see him a bit at West. He'll be there, and we'll see. I don't know yet. Loopy would say also the rise of YouTube and content creators, maybe. But I would argue that that's longer than 10 years. The YouTube content creator thing, we've been around for 15 years. I guess at this last 10 years, it makes sense. Is there any plans to bring back marble racing this year? You'll see marble racing done here as a special event. Like you might see it at one of the spectaculars, or we just might do it one day. Who knows? Wow, I am caught up on questions. Maybe I should have answered the how's the game industry changed? When people saw James ask that question, they're like, there's no reason to ask any other questions because that one would cover everything. Let me read. Did I miss any other questions? I did not. How was your weekend? It was good. So, James, you were like asking the biggest thing. What's the most unique mechanism you've seen in the game? I don't know. Because there's a lot of neat ones. There's so many. There was a game where you're building a puzzle to put the pieces together, and that's the mechanism for the game. I'm always like thrilled when a game comes out and you find something in it. You're like, ooh, this is an interesting thing. I like to see how this works in a game. Do you have any plans to do more best blank of all time brackets? Yes, we're definitely going to do more of those. I enjoy doing them. Do you ever do anything to celebrate the Dice Tower anniversary? I don't know when the Dice Tower anniversary. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere. Like, I know I went full time when school let out. I was no longer teaching, so that would be May, June. That's when I went full time. I don't celebrate that much. There's already so many things to celebrate. I might celebrate, like, we might do a big bash for 20 years of the Dice Tower at some point. I mean, technically, I've been reviewing games now for 22 years. But the Dice Tower itself, it's kind of hazy, right? We didn't have like a big bash, but I don't know. We'll do something at some point. What was some of your favorite moments from the big game bash? Well, I got to run a game of Ready, Set, Bet, so that was fun. I only ran one, but we had a good time doing it. Played some. My favorite time was just playing games and then also sitting back and talking to people. Had a great time playing games with adults and kids. My favorite moment, holding a baby. I like holding babies. What actor would you want to play you in a biopic? I don't know. I don't think that will. I don't think. I know that will never happen. Although there is that documentary coming out soon that I'm at least in a little bit. That'll be nice. How important is winning or losing to you when you play games? Well, I don't think I think I don't care that much if I lose. I like to win because who doesn't like to win? And I don't like to get crushed because who likes that? But you can laugh about it for the most part. I don't know that I ever go home and like, oh man, I lost and have a bad day. Whatever. The only time I think I care that strongly is when you're playing a jerk. When you play a jerk, you really want to beat them. Or if you play someone who wins all the time, it feels great to beat them. But yeah, that's about it there. Are you looking forward to the Thunder Road Vendetta expansion? Yeah, that sounds great. Hypothetically, if a different publisher did the exact same game mechanically as Wormspan with a different name, with no coordination from Stonemaier Hargrave, do you think that'd be an issue? I think you could do it, and you could even get away with it, but you'd be ostracized, and people in the industry wouldn't work with you. I think. What's your favorite movie with a twist ending? Best twist? Actually, I'm planning to do this for an upcoming top 3. There's a lot of movies that have had twist endings for me, but I don't think anything has blown me away more than The Sixth Sense. I remember that one so distinctly. Me and my wife were watching it pretty soon after we had gotten married. We were watching it, and I was like, what? And then I watched it again. She went to bed, and I watched the movie again because I thought they had to have cheated somewhere. What fraction of your time are you spending playing games versus organizing events in the Mintask these days? I don't know. I'd be afraid to write that down. I might not like the answer. Which of the following of these 3 games you prefer? Green team wins, blob party, herd mentality. That's a good question. I don't know which is the best of those. Probably blob party. What's your favorite Garfield games? Are any of them above an 8 for you? Yes, at least one of them, maybe two. No, 2 of them are in my top 100 games of all time. And to be in my top 100 games of all time, you have to be at least an 8.5 and likely a 9 at this point. I have hundreds of games that I've given 8.5s to, but they're not all my top 100. All my 9s are. So there you go. Spoilers. Spoilers. I didn't spoil nothing there. What class is the most fun for me to play in Massive Darkness 2? I don't know. My 3 favorites are the Necromancer, the Iron Man, that's not his name, the Tinkerer, whatever he's called, and the Ranger, because I really like the push your luck aspect of the Ranger. How do you avoid burnout from playing so many games? Well, that's a good question. Everyone's going to have to do things differently in that regard. I think burnout is just not playing games all the time. Like I said, I went to the big game bash this weekend. So I played games on Friday and I played games on Saturday. And then yesterday, let me see if I got this correctly. I played no games. I went to church, did some things after church, went to a hospital to visit somebody, and then we ate dinner, and then we went to a fair, not a fairgrounds, a farmer's market near here, and then I played Baldur's Gate, and then what did I do? Some emails maybe? And then we watched Dune Part 1 in preparation for Dune 2. No games at all, right? And that's fine. I did some puzzles. I guess you can count those as games. But that happens occasionally. But I'm ready to play more games. I'll be playing games today. So one thing Bonniger said in his podcast, he says, no one owns the Battlestar Galactica rights to the game. What would stop someone from redoing it if no one owns the rights? Well, I mean, you would have to get the rights to Battlestar Galactica. And again, yes, you could just steal the game. The game is still owned by Fantasy Flight Games. They made Unfathomable, which is essentially the same game with some changes. Again, you can do a lot of things legally, but that doesn't mean they're morally correct. Who do you think has improved the most over time as a reviewer on your team? Well, I mean, that would be kind of a weird thing for me to answer, right? Like, who's the best? They're all great reviewers. Who's improved the most? I thought my daughters have been improving a lot because they're getting older. But they're all great, fantastic reviewers. What games do you think needs to be remade or upgraded? I don't know about remade. I don't care about that as much right now. Upgrade it. Wormspan needs upgrades desperately. How's that? What has been your favorite part of DMing the D&D party so far? I like to see the reactions to the storylines that I've created. That's been fun. It's not huge, the audience for the D&D game, but we're having fun doing it. I know that at least Roy comes in every day, like he's early, ready to go. I think we all have a good time doing it. I like making up the story. It's fun. Tinkerer, that's what it is. Tinkerer, Mike Heller is Tinkerer, Ranger, and Necromancer are my three favorite. Although I'm curious, I haven't played the Druid yet in Massive Darkness, but I just don't know that they seem hard to play. Who are my favorite reviewers that are not Dice Tower? Well, I've been a big fan of Roger Ebert, but I mean, he's dead, obviously. But I always thought he did a good job reviewing games, even when I highly disagreed with him. Alan Sepinwall is one of my favorite TV reviewers. Not as much these days. I really feel like now that he's getting paid and he's on Rolling Stone, he's just not as interesting as he used to be. How did the kids like Dune Part 1? But liked it fine. Jimmy just kept asking questions about the size of the worm, because they said the worm was 600 meters. So he was just trying. He's like, is that the size of Florida? I said, it's not the size of Florida. But they saw the worm. The worm is very impressive, right? And there was a lot of discussion and talk about the worm. And then also, were those aliens? No, those are just weird suits that the people wear. We'll see. The Dune miniseries is a gazillion times better. No need to convince me otherwise. Well, I wouldn't try to convince you, but it's not. It's the movies. This movie's the best. Who's my favorite portrayal of Hellboy? Do not care, frankly. I don't think I even saw the new one. I don't like Hellboy that much. It's okay. Z's the one who loves Hellboy. That's a good question for him. What are my thoughts on Blood on the Clock Tower? I haven't played it yet. Although we had a discussion about this, just it was 2 days ago. We talked about Blood in the Clock Tower, and just I'll tell you what. Anytime I think about getting into Blood in the Clock Tower fans show me that I don't want to play it. If that makes sense, I don't know what it is. They this is the way you play. It's better than every other game in existence, and da 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 da. And you're like, I'm just gonna play one of these other games instead. See, the thing about Blood in the Clock Tower, another thing is, they'll say, okay, listen, if you really want to play Blood in the Clock Tower, you should do this, 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 and this. But if the game is great, I'll be like, here's Arc Nova. Enjoy. Thank you. Da 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 da. Bum. And we're done. I don't need to be like, I might say it plays best at 3, but I'm done. But I don't need to be like, it plays best at 3, and you should make sure these 5 cards are in the top deck, and yada, 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 yada. We're just ready to go. My game table's in a poorly lit basement. Do you have a recommendation for overhead table lighting? I don't really. We have nice lighting in here. Obviously, we have the studio lights. At my house, I buy bright white lights. I really like them. The big garage lights. I like to play games, and I want to play games in the best lighting I possibly can. It's harsher, that lighting, for sure. Don't care. Have you ever considered doing a video series of doing top 10 games per country? No, and I probably never will. There's a lot of reasons for that, but it's just, I don't want to. It is the biggest one. It's a lot of work. And then, what's from a country? This person is an expatriate living in this country. Is that the country it's from? Or is it what they're from? And yada, yada, yada. And also, I apologize. I have zero interest in that. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's exciting for me to see games coming out from different countries. I'm excited about that. I just don't want to do top 10s of it. I have not played Dune War for Arrakis yet. At some point, I'll play it. Are there any games that would improve with modular expansions? Maybe, but I don't, again, there's so many great games out there, and sometimes I might be like, oh, I want an expansion for this. Modular expansions, they're nice, I guess. I think games are great. You'd have to play a game a ton before I'd want more. Are there any good sports-themed games, or should I stick with fantasy football? Fantasy football is not quite, I wouldn't consider it a board game. There's lots of great sports-themed games, but it depends what you're looking for. Baseball games often have a high level of interaction and statistics and stuff, and they're good, but there's so much going on. There's real light games, and then there's games that are about sports on the sideline. The best sports games are racing games. And you are the Roger Ebert of board games, what an accomplishment to be compared favorably to your favorite. Well, I don't consider myself to be the Roger Ebert of gaming. I don't think that's a fair comparison. Now people are talking about Dune. The Dune miniseries is 20 years old. Yeah, actually it was funny because I was showing my kids, we showed Dune, and then I said, hey, I want to show you something. And I took them and showed them the David Lynch movie. I didn't show them the whole movie. I just showed them the beginning where they turned their shields on and said that was technology in 1984. So they laughed at that. Then I quick showed them the Baron too, because the Baron is super grotesque in that Lynch movie. Like almost everyone's grotesque in that movie. With some time after review, how do you feel about Flamecraft? Well, happily, I do a series called Week in Review, where I will always go back and take a look at the at board games, and I tell you if I've cooled on them or not, or where I stand on that game. And I reviewed Flamecraft in 2022, and so I'm still enjoying it. I think the Dune books, up to God, Emperor, are far superior to any movie or miniseries. Everyone has different opinions. I hate every book except the first one. I don't think I've read them all. I think I've only read 2 or 3 other ones, and I very much dislike them. Mystic, mumbo jumbo, all this stuff. And mysticism is part of Dune to some degree, but it was also all the cool tech and everything, and I thought it just got super weird towards the end. But hey, if you like it, great. When it comes to game expansions, how do you tell which ones will be good, useful, and which ones feel like money grabs? Well, all expansions are money grabs because they would like to make more money. But you can't tell ahead of time. That's what reviewers are for, or something. You read a little bit about it. What was your favorite nighttime TV series while you were in elementary school? I didn't have a TV when I was in elementary school. My parents didn't have a TV. They got one, well, when I went to college about was when they got a TV. Yeah, but that's okay. My favorite nighttime thing was reading books. Are you having fun running D&D, or do you find the work prepping the game to be more than it's worth? It's a lot of work, don't get me wrong. And that's actually one of the reasons why we're not doing one this week. Is I said I don't have the time this week to do the RPG. Don't worry, we're not shutting it down. I'm doing more later on. But it is a lot of work, but I like doing it. It just, I got to find the time to do it. That's all. Do you have a number of views that a video needs to be thought of as a successful one? That's a good question. Yes, but that's hazy. I don't think I would divulge that if I did have an exact number, but I will say that the number kind of moves around, and the number matters based on the amount of work that goes into it. Did Jason really make his mom stand in line for the Lorcana release? No, not quite. He definitely considered it. But she met him. He stood in line. He got it and then handed it off to his mom. What's my favorite Dune board game? Well, currently that would be Dune Imperium. Have you read the 3-Body Problem trilogy? No, I don't even know what that is. The 3-Body Problem. It's a novel by Chinese science fiction Liu Cixin. A fictional past, present, and future where Earth encounters an alien civilization from a nearby system of 3 sun-like stars. And the example of the 3-body problem. What is the 3-body problem? Where you take 3 different things traveling around and figuring out, solving, this is Newton's law. F1 equals, interesting. This is very mathy. I like this a lot. Sorry, I'm more interested in the 3-body problem. The series, maybe I would read it. I don't know, but I've never read it. So, yeah. Let's see here. Best game about each country? Now that might be an interesting thing to do sometime. Is the top 10 games with dragons still in the plans? Probably at some point. Do you think board games that need an that I'm assuming you mean that. Do you think board games that need an app is very low and maybe fading out? I'm just guessing some of your language here. After FFG changed after Asmodee, do I think board games that need an app, like, are there less board games that need an app? No, that number is going to increase, actually. But have no fear, so is the number of board games coming out in general. So, are there any more rumblings of any great games coming out from Brazil after the last few years of World Wonders, Comic Hunters, and Video Game Champion? I'm excited to see what next. So say we all. I don't know. I can then say much more. How often do I watch other board game reviewers, content creators? Just a bit. I don't want to be influenced by them. I might watch or listen if they're talking about stuff. I'm interested when people talk about stuff that's not reviews, like just talking about other stuff, because that's fun to talk about games and gaming behind the scenes. But for reviews, not a ton, because I don't want it to influence my own. Let's see here. Would you consider making a top 10 game with maps? No, I don't think so. I mean, there's like thousands of games with maps, isn't there? I don't know that that really narrows it down much. That's only a step up from top 10 games with boards. I don't know anything about Coffee Roaster's new printing, so I can't answer that question. Sorry. A video series idea. Top 10 single player games under 20 bucks, top 10 blank games under blank bucks. No. And I just want to be really clear, I'm never going to do this because it's not useful at all. It sounds useful, but you have to pick an arbitrary number. And then what is the price? Is the price what it is on Amazon? Is the price the MSRP, which is you have to figure out how to find that? Is the game already $5 after we mention this because no one wanted to play it, or it's out of print? It's just so much flux in there. I don't mind, and we do every year, we do a top 10 stocking stuffers for our Christmas, or our 12 games of Christmas. We do stocking stuffers. We might do a top 10 inexpensive games thing sometime, maybe. Like, this game's pretty cheap, and we will mention low price points sometimes. But I don't even know how much games cost a lot. Even if I bought them, I'd have to go back and how much was that game again? I don't remember exactly. It just would be way too much work. And then it would be useful for the day we recorded it. And then it would be not useful the next day. Tom, when's the best time to catch you for a picture at Dice Tower event? Well, I mean, if you just catch me in general, I'll take a picture. It's not a problem. If I'm playing a game, you can ask me. I'll quick take a picture. At conventions, the best time to catch me is in the morning. Now, that's even more prevalent at Dice Tower West because we're 3 hours. We're 3 hours ahead here, so I just by very nature wake up early over there. But yeah, that is the best time, I guess, is in the morning. But or at one of my events. At one of my events, when the event's over, that's a great time to ask me. What's the most you spent on a base board game that wasn't on Kickstarter? I don't know. Like buying it at an auction? You know, the most I think I ever spent on a base game that wasn't on Kickstarter was 60,000 won, which was about $60, right? I spent it on Chinatown. I remember it distinctly. I bought it at an auction. You're like, $60 doesn't seem like much. At the time, that was so much money to me. I did not have a ton of money, but I really was interested in getting this game. And they did a Dutch auction where they were lowering the price. And so I bought it. And felt overpriced. But I really wanted that game. $60 for a game. And, you know, with my paycheck being so very low. And that's the thing. That, to me, that feels like the most ever spent on a game. My favorite book series as a kid. That's a tough one. Because I would say Redwall off the top of my head. But I read Redwall. I started reading that when I was 16. Because I had a job when that happened. I remember because I had to go to work and I was in the middle of reading a book. So as a kid, book series. I liked the Hardy Boys. I really liked the Three Investigators. I liked, for series, I'm trying to think what other series I read. I mean, I liked Robert Heinlein's novels, but those weren't really a series. I guess I'll say the Three Investigators, maybe. I enjoyed them a lot. Am I excited for the new Sanderson Kickstarter? Sure, I'm going to back the book. Will I back the extras again? I shall not. Hey, Tom, if you ever directed a movie, I haven't. What What movie would you want to direct and why? I would like to have editing control for movies or direct as some of the Marvel movies, I suppose, but I don't really have a desire to direct. What is my Mount Rushmore of 80s TV shows? I'm pulling up a list of 80s TV shows because I don't. So again, I didn't have a TV as a kid, so I either saw these shows at my parents' house or I saw them later in life. I still had a lot of stuff that came in through osmosis because, you know, just when you're walking around. I don't know. 80 shows, 80 sitcoms. I mean, I know that at the time, I liked Full House. I don't like it now. I always did like The Cosby Show, but that's been kind of ruined. Hmm. Family Ties, I like. If that's on, sometimes I'll watch that. I don't know that I have any strong, because again, I didn't watch TV in the 80s, so therefore that's not really a thing for me then. But it's probably gonna take over chat now. Alrighty. Aquatica Coral Reef expansion coming this June comes with a whole new board, and we'll be changing up a lot. I know this. I'll be playing it next week at Dice Tower West. What's one game that has taught you or your kids the most real life lessons? I don't know if I even have an answer to that. Does someone else have an answer to that? Are there forms of content you enjoy making or the crew enjoy making, you keep making, although it doesn't perform as well as other styles of videos? Oh, sure. I mean, there's things that happen that way. Like the RPG is an example. I like doing the RPG. It doesn't get a ton, but I like doing it. There's other stuff too, but I do look at numbers. I want to make stuff that people want to watch. Do you think KeyForge would have been more popular if you could use your decks in an app and play online with them? Maybe. I think KeyForge popularity dies out because as much as people say they don't care about, they like the fact that you don't build your own deck, there's something about building your own deck. There really is. If KeyForge, there, because nothing happens between games of KeyForge. That's what it is. And that's why Magic is good. People sit there, they look at the cards, they talk about the cards, they trade the cards, you build a deck, you switch a few cards in and out, and that's interesting for a lot of people. And the game is good too. And people like that, but there's the rest of the hobby. With Hearthstone, you buy a deck, you play for a while, you're like, I don't really like this deck. I guess I'll buy another whole deck. And you just keep buying decks till you get one you like. But, I mean, it's fine. I like KeyForge. I just think that's the reason it's not popular. Favorite comic book character that hasn't been in a live action show or movie yet that hasn't been in one? Oh man, that'd be really hard to even, because they've stick so much stuff in. Like I would pick quite a few of the X-Men, but I'll say Armor from the X-Men. I don't think she's been in a movie yet. If you had to enter a cooking competition against a professional chef, which dish do you think you would have a puncher's chance with? Nothing. Do you remember when the Herbert estate was so strict in the license they had to make Rex instead of reprinting Dune? What do you think changed with them? I don't know. I was just thinking about this the other day. Maybe they ran out of money. I just saw that like the son of Frank Herbert said that the new Dune is exactly what they want, the new one that's coming out this week. But yeah, you couldn't get a board game save your life. There was that 1977 one, and that was it. And now there's tons of them coming out. Tom is a former aerospace engineer. I'm more than happy to give you a primer on a 3-body problem this year at Essen. Yeah, but this sounds like work and homework now. I'm a little worried. I get frustrated by Euros with an advertised theme that ends up being barely there. How important is effective theme to you? I like theme a lot. I want there to be theme. I laugh when a game is themeless, but there's so many games that are good despite having no theme that I don't know that I care sometimes. Speaking of apps, do you play any non-board game mobile games? Oh my word, tons. But regularly, let me pull out my phone. I play almost I play almost exclusively on my iPad, so my phone isn't as useful here, but I think I have a games. So my non-board game games that I play more than anything else. I played Dead Cells for a while, but I started getting bored with it after a while because I'm not very good at it. I'm skipping all the stupid, games you play all the time. I'm looking for games that I play a lot. Mr. Bullet, I like that one. Mr. Bullet, Paper.io, I like that. Stickman is fun. And I'll play full-fledged video games sometimes on them. But I do a lot of puzzles and stuff on mine. Or I'll play things like Hearthstone or Marvel Snap, although I haven't played Marvel Snap in ages. Have you seen the new rule book on Terrascape? I did not know they have one. Is it online? Have I read Anne Rice? I have not. I'm not actually interested in her stuff at all. What gaming conventions would you recommend for newbies? And what should you expect from the bigger cons? Well, that's, again, another 2-hour question. I think if you're new into gaming, go to any con. I would be cautious, though. So some things to look for is, are you going by yourself? Then you got to be careful. A bigger con might be better for you than some smaller cons, because some smaller cons can be very cliquish. And if you don't find a way to get into people playing friendly games with you, that might be a problem. Although, come to Dice Tower Con, find me. Personally, I'll get you in a game. But I've been to some cons before that were small cons. And if you don't have someone, if someone invited you, hopefully they will then play games with you there. But sometimes it can be hard to break into circles of people playing games at these cons. Have I just been listening to the Sporadically Bored, which I was part of? Have you ever seen the Kodiak Bear in Florida Keys on a fan boat yet? I do not know what we're talking about here. I don't remember that episode. There's no Kodiak Bears in Florida, is there? In Florida Keys. The Kodiak Bear in the Florida Keys? There's no Kodiak Bear down in the Florida Keys, is there? I've never been to where are there airboats in the Florida Keys? Maybe there is. I just don't know where they are. Anywho, anywhere in Vegas that you are looking forward to going for lunch or dinner? Yeah, probably. I'm looking forward to it. I don't have anything except I am going to do one day. I'm going to go to Paris to get my crepes for breakfast, my blueberry lemon crepes. Oh, the cake vending machines, says Mike. Not In-N-Out. I think In-N-Out is overrated. I think it's fine, but I think most burger places are fine. You know what's better than In-N-Out by a mile is Fuddruckers. I just went to Fuddruckers yesterday, and I forgot how good. I think for a chain restaurant, they make the best burgers. I think. I like Five Guys, but for a chain, I think Fuddruckers has everyone else beat. Now, to be fair, I did get a Kobe burger, which was wow. Mm. A Dutch auction. Is there a game that used that mechanism? Well, we just played one a couple weeks ago. Your Bluffing board game, Bitter Up, it's called, has a Dutch auction in it. I like Dutch auctions. In real life, they're kind of scary because it's like 10, 9, 8, 7, and then you just, I'll take it at 7. But I wish more games use them because I think they're fun. In real life, they're very stressful. When having a game night, do you eat before, during, or after playing games? All 3, depending on the game night. When we have a game day here, sometimes I just tell people to bring food in. And when people bring food in and we just eat while we're playing games and stuff, sometimes we go out beforehand, sometimes afterwards. We need a Nova movie. Yeah, Nova might work. What game should I play with a new gamer that spent most of his life obsessed with Nintendo games? Best board game with a video game theme. I actually don't think that should matter at all. Just play a fun game with them. Forget the whole thing that they played video games. Just play some fun games with them. Don't try to lean into that. Like, I'm a board gamer. If you wanted to teach me to hunt, you'd be like, okay, so I'm going to take time to hunt. So I'm going to do something that's most like a board game. Well, who cares? Just show me what about hunting is fun. Don't ask me to hunt. I'm not going to. But, it doesn't have to be the same. I have seen, someone said, have you ever seen Breaking Bad and what do you think of it? I think Breaking Bad is an interesting series because it's very well shot. It's funny because it has some of the most amazing moments you'll ever see in a show, punctuated by long, long, long slots of boring activity. I think Honest Trailers shows that. I think they do like people eating breakfast. Some cool stuff, but a lot. But it kind of wears on you because there's almost also nobody to cheer for. There's a few good guys-esque. I'm not a huge fan of shows where the main person is bad. I mean, they're interesting to watch, but I want to cheer for somebody. Do you remember a game that had amazing mechanism or gameplay in general that was absolutely sank by art? Yes, although I don't know one off the top of my head, but that has happened before. Would the Dice Tower ever be interested in doing challenge-style videos similar to the Brothers Mirth? Would be interesting to see you all do the one shelf challenge. I don't know what that means, but is that like play every game on a shelf in one sitting? I don't know. That sort of thing has never really appealed to me because I just like playing games. I don't want to be challenged to play games or play games I don't like because it's part of a challenge. It's kind of where I'm at with food challenges, like eat this disgusting thing. No. I don't have anything to prove and I have to suffer through something bad just to prove it. So that doesn't appeal to me. For money, maybe. Comedy doesn't age well, says Sam. I don't know. Some comedy seems ageless. I still watch Laurel and Hardy movies, for example, and laugh a lot at them. Have you ever seen a board so beautiful that you want to buy it or a print for wall art? Many, many boards I think that about, actually. That's hilarious. I know that you may not care, but there's a new roguelike deck building poker themed video game. That's just really funny that and you said it's called Batro. Batro? So let me see here. App Store. Batro. No results. Batro. Well, it's not on the iOS store. Oh well. Is it only for Androids and or Steam? If it's for Steam, I just don't play a ton of Steam. I guess I could play it on my Steam Deck. But mm, who's been doing graphic design for Dice Tower? It's been noticeably snazzier lately, which is really cool to see. I appreciate that. There's a lot of people putting work into it. Z and Chris, in particular, Mike and Roy. Yeah, I appreciate it. If a Kickstarter for a game is being run by a small company, do you think it's reasonable to expect that game to take longer than usual to finish? I don't know. I mean, I think that the company needs to figure out how long it will take. Give me a reasonable expectation on the page. I don't get upset if a game takes 2 years. What is the process like for gathering board game news? We have different sources that we go to. A lot of companies send us the news and keep my eyes open, and there's different spots. That's basically it. A weak KeyForge deck is just not that fun to play. I agree, and I think that's a problem with the game. How do shoutouts from the Kickstarter work? I back, but not sure how or when to supply the shout name. When the backer kit goes out, which we plan to have out within a month to everybody. So you'll be able to put it in there. How long has it been since you played The Great Wall? It doesn't matter. It's been a long time since I played many games, and it only gets worse, right? So right now, I think I'm up to 8,500 games that I've played, and you can't go back and play 8,500 games. It's just not possible. So people are like, you haven't played this game in years, but how is that possible? You said you liked it. I like a lot of games. So I just don't go back and play games all the time. But sometimes I want to play a game badly, and I will, but it's just the way it is. It's think of it this way. You have 5 foods. You can eat those foods once a week. I love spaghetti. Every Monday I eat spaghetti. This is my in-laws. They love spaghetti. They eat spaghetti every Monday, or they did. And I was like, how can you do that? There's so many foods out there. Of course, now I do something similar. I'm old. But the more foods that you get, the more foods that you learn about, then you can't eat them every week. And then sometimes you'll be like, man, it's been months since I had such and such a food, or years, and I liked it. I just haven't got around to it. Doesn't mean you don't like it. Meatball sub or turkey hoagie? Well, I think I would put a hoagie over a sub. I like them both. But I don't know that I do like turkey hoagies, but I'd rather have an Italian or a Beast or whatever the one where they stick all the meats on. Not Arby. Arby's does not have all the meats. The Pennsylvania delis do. Are there any games that you put on your first ever top 100 that you now hate? Look it up. But I got to find my top 100. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. So my first top 100 was 2005. So I'm going to sort my. It was a written list that I wrote on an airplane. It's almost 20 years since I did my first top 100 list. Okay. Here we go. Duel of Ages, still like it. Not as much. Cosmic Encounter, Twilight Imperium, Ticket to Ride, Wallenstein, Commands and Colors, Memoir 44, El Grande, Liberte. Liberte has dropped for me considerably. It's not even in my top 300 at this point, but I don't dislike it or hate it. Age of Steam, same thing, Age of Steam. Lost Cities, Time's Up, Why Did the Chicken? That's definitely fallen off my list because I played many, many other better party games, but I don't think it's bad. Railroad Tycoon, Lost Valley, War of the Ring, Tigers and Euphrates. That's funny, that was number 16 for me. I don't hate it, but I've hated it at times. Bang, Citadels, Fist of Dragonstones, 7 Ages, Primordial Soup, Battle Stations, Dungeon Twister, Mystery of the Abbey, Carcassonne the City, Pitch Car, Robo Rally, Conquest of the Empire, Through the Ages, Shadows over Camelot, Kremlin, Apples to Apples, War Angel. That's fallen off, but I don't dislike it. Heroescape, Carcassonne, Kingdoms, Werewolf, Power Grid, Domain, Colossal Arena, Goa, Reef Encounter, Cathedral, Balderdash or Pirates Cove, Balderdash, Battle Line, La Chita, Modern Art. Modern Art would be the closest so far. Modern Art I dislike now, I think. Or not dislike, I just don't like it that much. But that's closest. Democker, Prince of Renaissance, I think would be very similar. I no longer want to play Prince of Renaissance. You're Bluffing, Ave Caesar, Acquire, Union Pacific, Capital, Oasis, San Francisco, Maharaja. Wow, that made my list, huh? Return of the Heroes, Manhattan, Amun Ray, Ra, Santiago, Garden Competition. I wonder, Garden Competition was like, nowadays would have been a Kickstarter game. Way Out West, Star Wars Queen's Gambit, Java Pueblo, Tron Fabric, Fortress America, Serenissima. I don't know if I would like Serenissima today if I played it. I don't know. Dragon's Gold, Melilla, Big City, Rife and Bright, Aladdin's Dragons, I'm the Boss, Wildlife, Camelot Legends, China, Zendo, Runebound, Doom, 10 Days in the USA, Yinch, Castle, Chinatown. Hey, I just was talking about Chinatown. Succession. Wow, I forgot Succession existed. Mamma Mia, Cloud9, Talking Tango, Lord of the Rings Confrontation, Bootleggers, Puerto Rico, Dune. Wow, Dune made my list. Fearsome Fours, Mississippi Queen, and Starfarers of Catan. Oh, wait, I'm not done yet. Sorry. Vabank and Settlers of Catan. Settlers of Catan was my number 100. That's interesting. Did I read some numbers twice? Why is there more than one? Oh, row 1 is that. I have 2 6s from back then. Commands and Colors and Memoir 44 were tie. Ah, that's why. Okay, well, I'm sure that was super boring for you all. Sorry. Thank you, Henrik. Played Star Wars Imperial Assault because of our review. Well, I'm glad we helped get you into the hobby there. How good are you at predicting what games other members of the Dice Tower won't like? I'm okay at it. I don't think any of us are perfect at it. Sometimes things surprise us. I think I've gotten better at it, but still not perfect. Have you played any Starfield? No, because I have a PS5 and didn't come out for the PS5. So be it. I'm assuming, Loopy, you're talking about Terrorscape. There's a new section. We rise to precision of killer leveling up during the setup. Now the killer levels up before reconstructing the deck. Oh, okay. Do you know if Magical Athlete will have the sim or box art? I know nothing about the new Magical Athlete. Mike Delicio says In and Out is spectacular and it's still super affordable. I would agree with the second half of that. I don't think it's spectacular. I really think In and Out is like a cult. Again, I go there, I'll have it. It's a decent burger, but it's not better than. I think Wendy's is better. I think Five Guys is better. Fuddruckers is better. Not Arby's. Hardee's is or Carl's Jr. is better. I'm just talking about the chains. Who else makes a better burger than In and Out? McDonald's. No, I'm kidding. I can't go that far. In and Out is better than McDonald's. It's better than Burger King. It's better than those two. Now all the In and Out fans are like frothing. But what about the special sauce? Guys, you can get Thousand Island dressing anywhere. Anyway, what cryptid do you think is most likely to exist if you had to choose? I would say something like the Loch Ness Monster or something, one of the underwater ones, just because there's so much vast water out there. That would be the one I think would most likely to exist. Oh, Whataburger. Whataburger. I'd put Whataburger up. I'd put Whataburger not over Five Guys, but they're right underneath them. I do like Whataburger. Thanks, Mike, for pointing that out. I forgot about them. Let's see here. We got to talk about burgers. People are like, what? Oh, that's why we were talking about a fan boat, because Gentle Ben was riding a fan boat, and maybe it was in Florida. Maybe so. Let's see. James, you asked about Gen Con. We might do that. I thought I had a video about first time for tips for people going to conventions. If not, I will make one this year. So you're going to a convention. That sounds like a good thing to make. That actually gives me an idea. Let me read here. Sorry. The one shelf challenge is like you draft board games from your collection, and everything you draft has to fit in one calc shelf. Then you compare your shelves at the end. Oh, but that's their thing, right? I wouldn't steal that from them. That's like a very specific thing that they're doing. I don't like doing that, because it would be something that someone else did exactly. I try not to do that on our channel. Batro is on Steam. Okay, well maybe I'll get it for the Steam Deck. We'll see. Would be an interesting video where 4 to 5 people play a simpler game, but the idea is everyone is cheating. If you caught someone who you think was cheating and they weren't, you lose points. Maybe. I think that would devolve pretty quickly. Wow, everyone's talking about Batro. Well, I guess I need to get around to playing this thing if everyone thinks it's great. Kudos to the one who produces music today, sir. I think it's amazing. Yes. So Timothy Pinkham did our original theme, which is great. And then David Culling does it in all different styles. Today, we introduced this with our new tango style. I think he's done it in, let me see how many, let's see how much of that we have at this point. We have the Dice Tower theme. We have an 8-bit, Blues Brothers, Breakfast for our board game breakfast, Cheerleader, Christmas, Disco, Fantasy, which is basically Lord of the Rings, Game Show, Horror, Indiana, Vasel, Jazz, Lacrimosa, Latin, Metal, Monster Mash, Pirates, Reggae, Romance, Russian, Silly, Star Wars, Stevie, that's Stevie Wonder, Strings, Surf, Swing, Tango, Tchaikovsky, Teen Spirit, March, and Western. That's amazing. That's a ton of different themes. David does a great job on that. Okay, so I didn't get to all the questions here. I'm sure there's a few other ones that people are going to ask me. Oh, yeah. I'll say In-N-Out is better than White Castle, too. And Culver's is better than In-N-Out, yes. Raising Cane. Man, folks, someone needs to explain Raising Cane's to me. So a Raising Cane's moved to our area, took over a Red Lobster. Red Lobster went out. I was not like, I don't go to Red Lobster a lot because, well, we have like amazing seafood restaurants down in the Keys, but my family liked Red Lobster fine. But Raising Cane's came, and the lines for Raising Cane's were around the block. So we waited until the lines went down, and I went in there. I was surprised. Their menu can fit onto a postage stamp. And B, Their fries were terrible, which is one of the few things they have. And their chicken was good, like pretty good. Like I thought it was very good. But there already is chicken places that are good. I can go to, Chick-fil-A for one, or KFC or Popeyes, and you might argue that Raising Cane's is better than those, but it ain't better to go through and have two options. If I'm going out to eat with someone and I'm like, let's go to Raising Cane's, we all getting the same thing. So I think that's one of the, my letdown from going to In-N-Out Burger was sufficient that first time because it had been so hyped to me. I went there, I was like, this is it. My letdown from Raising Cane's trumps that by a factor of 10. Okay, well, there we go. Thanks for watching the food Q&A again. We got a lot of stuff doing here. We'll be back in 3 hours here for We'll Play It Live, where we just grab some games and learn them on the spot and see if they're any good. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time here on the Dice Tower. Don't forget, Dice Tower West, just a week and a couple days away. Huzzah!